Revenge podcast, starring Josh Davidson, OBE, Caspar Hyde, PhD, and Max Briley, DOA. The following podcast features a cameo appearance by Oscar award-winning actor Sir Ian McKellen.
Welcome to the first Rodolfo's Revenge new podcast.
The all-new Rodolfo's Revenge podcast. First things first, we do apologise for the shitty video quality. Hopefully we're going to be getting some better camera equipment soon.
The camera you're watching this from is possibly this big.
Yeah.
It's it's more of a mobile phone.
It also looks a bit like a turret from Portal.
It does
look
a little
at
bit,
the,
yeah, like a robot height. Yeah.
So we have a new format for these podcasts.
Yeah.
Instead of the
direction this time.
yes, instead of the unfettered rambling that we used to have, that you'll probably be able to see in the site or on our YouTube channel. We're now doing it more like a news podcast format. What happens is each week each of us picks a couple of news stories that we want to talk about and we discuss it in a way that will hopefully be entertaining to you. I do movie news, Casp
Do television and comics.
And I do video games.
and each week we also pick a wider news story that we found entertaining or interesting or in some other way worth talking about.
Absolutely. Hopefully we weren't spending too much time with our heads in the screens, but as with all good news channels, you kind of need something to remind you what you're talking about. As I said, user feedback from the old podcast, we did ramble a bit, so this hopefully will keep our focus, but already I regret the fact that I haven't got my cup of tea next to me and it's waiting to be
Quite
drunk.
enjoying mine.
Yeah.
So, shall I start us out?
Yeah, sure.
Go for it.
From the movie news world, I have this little tidbit. Miley Cyrus is apparently in talks to star in a new Bonnie and Clyde movie. A TV movie of Bonnie and Clyde.
Wait, it's a TV movie?
Yeah, a TV movie of Bonnie and Clyde starring Miley Cyrus.
It's even worse than
It's
I
like-
once imagined.
What? I don't get it. It's like, it doesn't sound real, does it?
It doesn't.
It sounds like something from the Onion News Network. I don't know what the Onion is going to do about this because we are slowly turning it into Onion World.
They'll probably go under. There'll be nothing oniony to report.
Yeah, there'll be nothing left. There'll be nothing left to satirise.
They can't even do anything because it will be too close to the truth.
It's unbelievable.
Let's talk about why this destroys the memory of the old Bonnie and Clyde films then.
It's the old Bonnie and Clyde film is such a classic. I mean, if you watch it nowadays, it's a bit. You could argue that it's a bit silly and a bit camp.
It's a lot like with a lot of films from that.
It's kind of the charm.
But yeah.
That's part of the charm. It's a classic, and it just seems to. It seems like they've chosen the actress most guaranteed to irritate people who liked the old film. I mean, though it's only a TV movie, it's not getting a theatrical release or anything, but still, I mean, Miley Cyrus shouldn't have had a career outside of Hannah Montana. And I didn't pay enough attention to that in the first place. So I said to the guys, it was only about a year ago that I, in fact, realised that Hannah Montana and Miley Cyrus are, in fact, different people.
Yeah, I should have figured that out.
Aren't, in fact, different people. See, I'm still not sure.
To be fair, it will be kind of satisfying to see Miley Cyrus shot down.
It will.
Yeah, but you'd have to watch an entire bad film to see that.
You would.
The clip would come out on YouTube, like the Justin Bieber thing.
Yeah, I
from
was thinking,
CSI.
yeah. That was...
Wake me up when she's had 9 divorces and a cocaine addiction.
Has she not had that already? I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest.
Well, yeah. I mean, she was in the opening episode of the new series of 2.5 Men, and that's crashed and burned.
Yeah.
Here you go, listen to this. Cyrus is in negotiations to take on the role of Bonnie Parker, who along with Clyde Barrow became outlaws infamous for a series of bank robberies and a man-woman hunt that ended with their deaths in a hail of gunfire. Now, much as I'm a fan of the words Miley Cyrus and death in a hail of gunfire appearing in the same sentence in any context, it really... When you're talking about Bonnie and Clyde, it's not something that I'm going to be enthusiastic about. And it doesn't make any sense.
Who's going to be Bonnie? One of the Jonas Brothers?
Oh, God.
Terrible.
Oh, God.
You mean Clyde?
Yeah, I meant Clyde, sorry. Obviously.
But I think it's almost like they're doing a remake of the film, forgetting that it's actually a figment of history. Like that
Well,
doesn't actually.
It's kind of historical.
It's never actually happened in their eyes. In their eyes, it's never happened. It was just a film,
Yeah.
So it's like, if it was just film, then we can remake it.
4-hour miniseries.
4 hours.
Fuck.
Not back to back. I'm assuming. It's going to be.
No, but if it was back to back,
Like
it'd be a new method of torture.
4-hour long episodes. Yeah.
It's still too much.
Anyway, before we get even more irritated, what else have you got for us?
Yeah.
I've also got, on a more serious note, the director of that stupid film Innocence of Muslims has been taken in for questioning by federal agents of the US.
Oh.
I don't know if any of you guys have seen that film. I know this pair haven't, but I've seen it. And my big problem with it is that it's clearly made just to... Actually, I've got a quote from the guy. Apparently, this is according to one of the actresses who's working on his film. Let me just find it. Where is it?
Should have had it written down.
Should have had it written down.
Yep.
I should have had it written down.
But from what we know of this film, I mean, I've been getting all the back end of it from the news, and it's just the massive riots. Everybody saying, Muslims supposed to be peaceful people, but then they're rioting, and it's just wow.
Yeah, but here we go. This is an actress on the film talking about after this all blew up. I called him the morning that all this violence broke out in Libya and asked him, "Why did you do this?" He said, "Cindy, tell the world you're innocent." He said to say that he's the writer and he did it because he's tired of radical Muslims attacking innocent people, and that he was from Israel. But when I was down there doing the movie, he said he was from Egypt. Now, okay, if you want to make a movie criticising Islam, criticising any religion, that's great. More power to you. Religion has way too much control over this world as it stands at the moment. If you want to make a film criticising it, that's great. But my problem with this is that it's done just to provoke. And this guy clearly thinks that he's some kind of hero or some kind of voice of truth. But what he's done is that he's made this film almost with the intent of causing this kind of reaction among radical Muslims across the world. If you want to make a movie that criticises and satirises religion, don't make a movie that's going to give power to the arguments and the extreme reactions of the religion you're criticising.
I think he was expecting exactly what happened.
Yeah, he was, clearly. And if you've actually seen the movie, it's fucking ridiculous, guys! It looks like it was made by the director of Birdemic. It really is one of those, it's just abysmal. And by the same things, there's some real nutters in the cast as well.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The actress Cindy Lee Garcia, who was an actress in the movie, says she wants to go back to, she wants to return to an acting job after all this. No, that ain't gonna happen.
Nope.
Not gonna work.
That film was career suicide.
And she wasn't really what you'd call a legitimate actress in the first place. Have a listen to this. Hollywood Reporter asked her, "What's the fallout been for you?" To which she replied, "I lost my job babysitting my grandchildren. It was my only source of income." Now,
wait, her own grandchildren?
Her own grandchildren. Babysitting her own grandchildren was her only source of income. Now, I don't want to kick a career when it's down, but...
Wait, she lost that job?
Apparently. How do you lose your job babysitting your own
How did he find her?
Yeah. Sweetie, you're not going to make it as an actor, as an actress. I'm serious. I'm sure you're a lovely lady, but it ain't going to happen.
There are just people like that.
I'd say stick to babysitting your grandchildren, but stick to the day job. But right. You see, you haven't got the day job anymore. I don't know. According to her, the director will stand before God for what he has done. Apparently, she's big on Jesus.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Oh man.
oh god, it's ridiculous. It's a game. It's turning into Onion Land.
Yeah.
This is sounding like something off the Onion. We are slowly sliding into a society that can no longer be satirised.
Yeah, it's a bit terrifying. It's like when Romney said the thingy with the rolling down windows on the airplanes. I mean, you'd think that was something from the Onion. I mean, I didn't think it was true first. I thought it was an actual Onion article. But no, that was true. That was
It's gone from people
quote.
thinking that Onion articles are real to thinking that real articles are Onion articles.
Yeah.
That's the dangerous line.
Yeah.
That has been breached.
I can't really understand why someone like that thinks. There never seems to be a sort of consequence in any of the things that, you know, oh, let's do this. That can't be possibly a bad idea. Rolling down the windows of a plane, we're not going to get sucked out and shredded into bits.
Romney.
Who sits on an aeroplane and think, you know what these windows need? The capacity to roll down.
And fucking freeze. It's so cold up there as well. Anyway,
Excuse me.
let's not go into extreme level physics, apparently.
What you got for us, Megadeth?
Okay, right. Well, on a more lighter note, something we're quite excited about is the new Assassin's Creed 3 game coming out, the one that's based in America, or should I say, Revolution Time America. The thing that's caught my eye about this, mostly not because I'm already a fan of the series, is because Ubisoft UK are spending $4 million on the marketing for the game, which is a huge budget for marketing.
That's a lot.
Yeah, this includes online takeovers, on-demand TV adverts. Presence on London Underground, which something Bioshock 2 did. They're calling it the most ambitious game that they've ever done in Ubisoft, and I think that's justified. One thing that did confuse me quite a lot was the fact that if it's already a very successful franchise, why do they need to spend so much money on it?
It's only in the UK, isn't it?
Exactly.
Well, given that Connor spends 90% of the game killing British people, I think that they needed a bit of insurance with the marketing
Well,
campaign.
they claim to be.
Well, the funny thing
equal.
is, yeah, on
the same amount on both sides.
On the expo in the last couple of days, what they sort of
Yeah.
backed that up by saying was the fact that everybody in that time is technically British or something like that. They're not American until the end of the game when it's actually gained their independence and they can be qualified as Americans. But the reason I think they're spending so much on the marketing is because, like most long-term franchises, they think that people have the perception their game is just going to be the same. And what I've gained from watching the expo, which was a 30-minute presentation, was that it's actually quite different. They've gone back to a lot of fine-tuning, and the fighting system's completely different. It's a lot more fluid. It's actually a lot more entertaining to watch. They've just really gone to depth with it. You know, people were thinking things like, oh, we can't climb all these massive buildings. It's going to be crap. I don't know. I've never really played a game just to climb up a building, but it's what you.
In fairness, that was like one of the bigger.
It was.
Assassin's
That's
Creed.
what I found was quite funny. But what they're trying to say now is that actually the environment's a lot more immersive. You know, you can climb trees, you can trudge through snow.
Yeah,
that's what
you
they're
can
really
fight
good at. I
bears.
think they did the same with Assassin's Creed 2 when they went from Assassin's Creed 1. They're not afraid to change, but they're really good at changing, but still keeping it the same and giving it the same feel.
It's a consistent story arc, but it's going through time. You know,
it's definitely an Assassin's Creed game.
And one of
It's quite different.
the thing I find that's most exciting about Assassin's Creed, and that probably sounds quite nerdy, but it's the actual history behind it. You know, it's something that a lot of games don't do very well. You go back into a period of time, and actually, it's almost educating. You know, in a good way. I think that's a very strong thing that games can actually do. But at the same time, like I said, there's a lot of games that get it wrong, that make crap up, and then we've got a crap story. Black Ops. But they've really tried hard with it. Their research, their attempts at, you know, we watched how they did a lot of the development in it, and the things that it really is the things that you wouldn't think about what they were doing. You know, there's sea battles that they have in this now because the boats were such an integral part of winning the Revolutionary War. They've like sailing around holding microphones at the side of the boats, capturing. You know, you'd think, wow, well that'd be stock sound of that, but
even his costume. I mean, when I first saw it, I thought there was no one at that time dressed like that. But it's actually based on a real costume, a real dress that were used back then.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, several different ones, but it's still based on real dresses that. looked quite similar. So that's.
But going back to what we were saying about them changing things, this game has been in development for 3 years. Unlike, again, going back to what Call of Duty does, because I keep referring to it because it's on a similar franchise basis. They come out every year at this rate, relatively the same time. One thing that Call of Duty does is in 2-year cycles with Treyarch and Infinity Ward. That's gone to pot now, so we're going to see that decline. But what Assassin's Creed 3 has been doing, it's been in development for 3 years since AC2. Now, to a normal human being, that would sound normal. AC2, AC3, yeah. But there's obviously been Brotherhood and Revelations. So they've been working quite hard on it for quite a period of time. We saw the amount of people that were working on it, and it's
quite an impressive.
I think
picture.
it could be over 1,000 people that have been in the production
Yeah,
of this.
Google image search. Assassin's Creed 3 production team. Your jaw will drop.
It's insane. It's insane. Watch the expo on YouTube as well. It's really, really eye-opening. But this, like I said, they've introduced things like a new engine. They've got what's the Ubisoft Anvil Next engine, and so we've got better AI as well now, which means we can have battlefields full of something that everybody's always wanted to do is have an epic battle in a game. But it's never really happened, has it? I've never really seen anything like that.
No, they tried in Skyrim. It
didn't
really work at all.
It just doesn't. It falls apart for some reason. The one that came close to my mind was a Lord of the Rings game, possibly, but even then, it's sort of like a.
Actually, a game that did that quite well was Dynasty Warriors.
Yeah, but that was over the top. It was just like
it was over the
slashing
top,
in the middle.
but I quite liked it. It wasn't a quality game.
No.
But I quite enjoyed that game.
Sometimes you just like to mindlessly hack slash things, don't you?
Yeah. What would you do if you could hire an assassin then?
Oh god. Well,
if you could hire Ezio or Connor or what's the first guy called?
Well,
Altair.
Altair, yeah. Well, I wasn't really thinking about that, and if I was to say anything, then I might go to prison. But their MO isn't just to be, you know.
I wouldn't assassinate any big political figures. I'd just use them on sort of modern day-to-day inconveniences.
Yeah.
Like people who take too much time in the queue at McDonald's.
Isn't that us?
I'll have a.
Just made your decision faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Or old ladies that walk too slowly.
Wow, yeah, it's
Wow,
inevitable.
that was dark.
Yeah,
That was very
I
dark.
don't know why you asked that question. But anyway, carrying on and ending this particular discussion, they have confirmed they're releasing an AC2 trilogy pack. That sounds confusing, doesn't it? So all 3 games featuring Ezio is coming out soon.
Cool.
They're already out, but they're... Okay, so that's it.
Neatly packed trilogy.
So that's the AC3 topic. Another one that is another third instalment of a franchise. This one I think is dying. I'll explain why. Far Cry is not a franchise I've followed much. It's never really struck out as something impressive to me. I might be held down for this, I don't know, but I didn't think there was anything interesting about it. Now, their third instalment, I hadn't noticed this till the other day with all their online ads, and I suppose that's the point of advertising, isn't it? But they're trying to make you insane. They're trying to make it sound like it's a really over-the-top crazy game, like, oh, no. Yeah. One of the things,
so they're trying to make it deliberately wacky.
One of the things
Seems to be
CVG said was that Far Cry 3 is set to restore your faith in the surreal, particularly when you meet Maverick pharmacologist Dr. Earnhardt, and have to decide which of his many bowls of pills to sample. Who wasn't wondering what it would be like to wield a gun while tripping your tits off?
But that just...
Rather play Psychonauts, really.
It doesn't. That doesn't say, oh look, is a good reason to play a game. It's just, it's pointless.
But the concentration on wackiness and being deliberately all quirky and insane, it's a trend that, Caspar said it's a trend that's getting more prevalent in gaming nowadays. But it can either be done really well or really obviously, like Borderlands, or particularly now Borderlands 2, which we've been playing and we love.
What I was going to say with Borderlands 2 is the fact that, for instance, the enemies, the bandits, they're really nutty. In the first one, it's like, oh, you know, they just surprise you with the sort of shit that they say. It's really funny. And then the second one, you think, right, I know these people, but then they continue to surprise you. I mean, there's all the nostalgic quotes from the first one, but they've just they act in a slightly different way that just says, oh, they're insane, that's why I don't get them.
Exactly.
But in Far Cry, the whole thing, their slogan is face your insanity. It's set to release for the 30th of November, but I don't think, given that date, I'm suddenly going to turn insane. It's too deliberate.
I like it's survival horror movies, survival horror games where they give you an insanity meter.
Yeah, I've seen that before, actually.
It worked in Eternal Darkness, and they kind of did it in Indonesia. But,
I've seen that before. The thing is,
it has to be done right.
It's not the whole game that's going insane. It's just like this one particular figment. It's like a tool that's supposed to get you to hurry up. It's like a countdown timer almost. But in this, the whole thing is insanity to me is Nolan's Joker. It's about being unpredictable and not caring about convention. But when they just say, like, they're on screen now, it's over again, it's insane, it's the same person, it's just waved in your face a lot. It's just like, oh, it just becomes the complete opposite. It becomes predictable, it becomes boring, and you still wouldn't play a game because it said, hey look, this is a bit nutty. There are other games out there that are nutty that I'd rather play.
Exactly.
Borderlands 2 being a completely prime example. It's just, why market something like this when there's actually nothing?
There does seem to be this thing at the moment that games have to be insanely dark and gritty and realistic, or all over the place, balls out wackiness. There's no middle ground. There's no... Well, I'm sure there are.
Yeah.
But obviously there are. But there are very few games which have the sort of humour that you... I mean, I know they're different mediums, but the sort of humour that you get from characters in films or TV series. There's no, like, genuinely hilariously memorable, humorous characters from video games. Which I find, which is a problem to me. I think video games should focus more on the middle ground rather than going to one extreme or the other.
Well, it's just
not everything has to be.
It is just trying fairly new medium, anyway.
It's a fairly new
medium. It has a lot of room to grow, and I think it's good that they're trying at least to go in a direction from the super serious stuff, because so many games take themselves way too seriously, and it just turns ridiculous. Really.
It does, yeah.
So it's good that they try, but they still need a lot of room to grow.
Yeah. So. The games that really try hard to be wacky almost end up being worse than the super serious games, because you end up looking on them with a sort of pity almost.
Yeah, what they almost do wrong is that they take this wackiness seriously.
Yes,
they
that's
do
the thing.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's what I got from Far Cry 3. It does look like that is their only thing going for them, and so they have to herald it as like, Jesus Christ, guys, this is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's like, no, it's not. And for someone that plays so many games to count, you just, there's got to be a reason to play a game. You can't just expect someone to sit there and giggle a little bit. So that's me. On to Caspar.
Yeah. Well, recently, since it's autumn, there's been a lot of season premieres and a bunch of debuts. There's it.
Caspar's Norwegian.
Yeah, sure you knew that. So Dexter actually airs today. That's going to be quite exciting, especially since the last season was the weakest in the series so far.
A single episode of Dexter.
You should. It's pretty good. But I think a lot of fans or people that have watched all the seasons would agree that the last one was the weakest season so far. But it had a pretty big ending. I'm not going to spoil anything, but people who saw it knew it will change a lot of how Dexter will be from now on. So that's going to be quite exciting. I'm looking forward to that. Also, both Parks and Recreation and Community, which is about two of the best comedy shows on TV right now, is coming back, which is really good because Community was about to be cancelled.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, Christ.
But it came back. Also, other good news is that Big Bang Theory and Grey's Anatomy didn't do very well on their premiere openings. And especially 2.5 Men.
Yeah.
It's
I'm glad
never done worse. So Faith in Humanity restored.
Grey's Anatomy I could not be more happy about.
Still don't get that.
2.5 Men I intend to get a big bottle of champagne and pop the cork on that. It's the moment that goes under.
Yeah.
Big Bang Theory, I sort of stick up for it because there are some jokes in it that I like and there are a couple of characters in it that I like, but it's more based on people's assumption and people's image of nerds rather than what nerds are actually like. Because in real
It's
world,
trying a bit
nerds are like
too
us.
hard. It's trying a bit too hard, I think.
It is trying way too hard.
I mean,
but
I can enjoy watching it sometimes, but I'm not really a fan at all.
No,
So I'd rather watch Community as way better,
well, definitely.
like geeky jokes, although it's not just super geeky characters.
more relatable.
But
More relatable, definitely.
although Big Bang Theory will always hold a special place in my heart for the Stephen Hawking cameo they got.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Fair credit to
Yeah, it's not doing bad, it just didn't have a very
It just didn't do as well as they expected it to.
Exactly.
Isn't it like America's biggest sitcom at the moment?
Is it?
2.5 Men is America's biggest
It used to
sitcom
be,
for a
at
while.
least, yeah. But as I said, they do quite badly now.
Even
Charlie Sheen, the
Yeah.
whole incident with Charlie Sheen.
Even people who hate Big Bang Theory will probably have to admit it's at least better than 2.5 Men. I mean, give it that much credit.
Yeah. So there's not many interesting debuts, sadly, except for maybe Elementary, which is a new show, which like BBC's Sherlock is Sherlock Holmes in modern day, and this is set in New York though, and it doesn't look too good. It's got some good reviews. It's got some good reviews actually.
Yeah, but I bet they're all American reviews.
Yeah, one of the problems is Sherlock is apparently a really likable guy, you know, a nice guy, and he even is quoted to say, "I hate it when I'm right." That's
if you see
completely contradictory to his character.
if you see the character that is portrayed by Benedict Cumberbatch in Sherlock, in Sherlock,
Cumberland.
Benedict Cumberbatch. I forgot. Sorry, what was my point?
The right one.
Isn't it? Yeah, Cumberbatch. I'm sorry, I forgot my point. But if you see the character as portrayed in Sherlock, he's exactly how you imagine Sherlock Holmes to be. He's a dick. He's an arrogant, egotistical bastard. He's weird as fuck to look at, and nonetheless, he's still there's a basic goodness about him. Like Moriarty said in the last episode of the last series, he's on the side of the angels, but he isn't an angel himself.
Yeah.
So there's a fundamental goodness about the character,
That's what
but
makes him
it's
so
lying.
likeable.
Yeah,
you know?
it's lying underneath all these layers of dickish arrogance, but making him an openly likable character. To be fair, no offence to any American viewers, but that is an incredibly American move. I mean, I'm sure you'll have to admit.
In-betweeners.
In-betweeners.
Let's not get into that.
There is a good reason these shows are British. You know,
Well, there's not a good reason these shows are British. Their Britishness is what gives them their humour.
Well, that's what I mean. That's why
It's
they're
like
British, 'cause it's British
I
humour.
mean,
you know?
there's something very specific about British humour and British
Yes.
television, and some things just only work as in that sense.
It's like, but didn't you say that the new John Watson was...
I was getting to that.
Yeah.
The worst thing I'd say, I mean, not to be, for no sexist reasons, but John Watson is now Joan Watson.
An
Is
Asian lady.
a Asian lady played by Lucy Lee. I have nothing against her. She's an okay actor, but as John Watson, you know, the thing with Sherlock Holmes and John Watson is they have this possibly one of the first romances in literature, and they have such a strange relationship
And such a male relationship.
Such a male relationship. It wouldn't work with a female.
That relationship is really good in the English
It's
Sherlock.
just,
It's really good.
It's really good. It's perfect.
He's actually one of the best series I've ever seen. I think I put it at the top. I'm really impressed with it.
I assure you, it will turn into a sexual relationship, or at least a romantic relationship.
At least
some
on one.
point.
Not in the English
Yeah,
version.
not in the English
American-
version. No.
The American, despite what people
Start
assume.
watching.
Although I'm afraid a lot of people hope
watching.
for it.
But I bet there's a lot of fan fiction out there. In the in the American series, I can guarantee at least once they will bang.
No, yeah, they will. If she was Irene Adler, that would be okay.
That would be pretty cool.
Quite cool actually to have her. But no, she's Joan Watson. So
But that's just.
Also, over to comics news. Stanley just had a pacemaker operation.
Really?
So
shit.
so
No, he has to live forever.
but our dear Generalissimo is still alive.
Yes.
And he might live forever.
We can only hope.
Yeah, we can only hope. Also, Fox has now hired Mark Miller, the creator of Kick-Ass and other movies like Wanted, to be the creative consultant for the movies for Fantastic Four and X-Men.
They're still trying to get a Fantastic Four movie
Yeah.
going.
It's going to be a reboot of Fantastic Four, I'm afraid, and there's also going to be.
They are, at least by doing a reboot now. If it was at any other point, I would you know bust a nut, but they're doing it to put it in the universe. That's the main thing.
Yeah,
all the extra like Guardians of the Galaxy, all that sort of stuff. That's part of what will be a Marvel
We're
film.
so looking
universe.
forward to Guardians
Yeah.
of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to make it
Fucking
decent.
Rocket Raccoon in a live action movie. No, it's a.
I think it might be part of the
This
action.
is one of the big arguments about the new Spider-Man was like, why bother? It's like Spider-Man 3 was dog shit. What's the point of carrying it on? It's to put it back into its universe. It's it's going to be expansive and it's going to be exciting. The whole.
Definitely.
It's the first movie universe I can really sort of
Yeah.
know of.
So
My problems
it's
with the new
justified to reboot the Fantastic Four now.
Yes,
I think.
my problems with the new Spider-Man film are my own, and I have to deal with them in my own time. But but I can see why it might have been necessary, because the comic book movie and the comic book world is undergoing a huge transformation, a huge evolution at the moment.
It's like, I mean, the movie universe is kind of based on the Ultimate Universe too, of Marvel. I mean, so
It is actually.
it's becoming its own universe. It's the
Yeah.
Marvel movie universe. So they have so many universes now.
The Ultimate Universe has got a new Spider-Man now, Miles Morales.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So yeah, there will be a new Wolverine movie.
Wolverine.
There will be.
Yeah, called The Wolverine.
Yeah, the Wolverine, but that actually might be good.
Is
At
it
least
played by
it did really seem promising at some point, because it was going to be directed by Darren Aronofsky.
Nice.
Yeah, from The Wrestler and The Requiem for a Dream and stuff like
Is it
that.
the same
Black
actor?
Swan.
But
Is it Hugh
yeah,
Jackman?
same actor. I mean, he's a good Wolverine.
He's a good Wolverine.
It's not.
No, I
his
like
fault
him,
that
it's
the
just-
film is bad.
Well, X-Men Origin.
Oh, X-Men Origins.
Let's not get into that.
No, I was
Such
going to say
a-
one thing. The worst thing about that was what they did to Deadpool.
Oh yeah. Apparently there's a Deadpool movie in the works somewhere.
Yeah.
There's a Deadpool game.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a Deadpool game.
Which
The,
I
I've
think
seen
mo-
that.
the
Deadpool
movie
is
is kind of in development hell right now.
Shame. Development limbo.
Yeah.
Tell you what I'd like to see, I'm just thinking about this. I'd like to see a Spider-Man movie where Miles Morales is the...
Yeah.
now that would be really cool.
You know,
release a TV series. You could make such a good
Ma-
Spider-Man TV series.
Miles Morales he's he's African American, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny because one of the actors from Community, Donald Glover, which is
Yeah.
a really funny
I
stand-up
like
comedian
Donald.
too.
I like Donald
There was rumors at some point that he would be the new Spider-Man in the reboot.
It would be great.
And as he said, he would love to, but it's not gonna happen.
It's a shame. I would love that.
Yeah, it would be fun though.
Get Donald Glover as Miles Morales.
Also, on the DC front, if
so
you knew about it,
the
there's they have released the whole thing, the new 52. They rebooted the universe, kind of like Marvel did with the Ultimate Universe. So they've started again now, and the interesting point here, I mean, it's been for a while, but they're revealing the new Joker. He hasn't been revealed yet.
Sweet.
So that's going to be really interesting. They say, he's going to be the same Joker pretty much in how he
character.
acts, in
character,
character. I mean, they
but-
can't change too much there. They would be fuck up everything. But apparently now he's going to wear a mask of his own face.
Now
So that's going to be a bit
that's pretty
interesting.
cool,
Yeah,
actually.
it's
That's
just
clever.
like,
A mask of his own face.
yeah, that's what it says. That's what it says.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Let's see here.
What the shit is that?
As is quoted here from the guy who's making it, it's really is going to obviously have a new look. At the same time, we wanted to echo his iconic look. So it's the Joker, but more of a horror movie looking Joker.
Now that would be
So,
scary. That
yeah.
would be really good.
But this is in a comic, yeah?
This is in the comics,
So,
yes.
one thing I get a bit annoyed about with DC is the fact that all their characters, the different medias that their characters are in, seem always to be quite different. I mean,
They
the
do.
animated series Batman and the Nolan Batman are very, very different. And it's not just Batman, it's
Yeah,
other-
they're
a
making
lot of
a
others.
television series actually now called Arrow,
About,
which is about
yeah,
Green Arrow.
yeah.
And they seem to be doing exactly what Nolan did to The Dark Knight,
Okay.
to Batman, by making him kind of in his own universe.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's going to be Green Arrow in a universe without people with superpowers, which is I find okay because I both with Hawkeye and Green Arrow, I never really cared for those characters because let's face it, they're people who is good with bow and arrows in a world where people can destroy
where people
planets,
can fly
you know,
and destroy planets.
you know, so they're kind of underpowered. So it might be cool. It might be bad. It looks completely decent.
Say your DC
might
film.
do a review at some time.
That'd be good. DC film I actually can't wait for. Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, which is coming out next year.
Yeah,
that looks awesome.
That looks quite interesting.
I've not seen anything about that.
It's by
it's a reboot.
yeah,
I think,
it's a reboot of the Superman franchise by Snyder, director of Watchmen.
Okay.
So that can be interesting.
Yeah.
Can be crap too, but
Not the Nicolas Cage Superman.
No, he has to fight a giant spider at the end.
Has to.
Giant spider.
Don't even know why.
Giant spider.
I think that's a way of curing someone's
Have you seen
arachnophobia.
that?
yeah, I've seen that kind of thing. Oh, it's brilliant.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Alright, anyway, so
Yeah.
shall we move on to our big topic?
Let's do that.
Our big story is what we talk about, one topic that's not in our fields. In this particular instance, we wanted to talk about the iOS 6 maps frustration and the sort of the doubts that I think would have been caused in Apple users' minds. They've always been sort of loved for some reason. It's more of a desirability thing with Apple. But anyway,
They used
surprised.
to be. Yeah, I'm not going to get into this, but Apple has done great things.
Yeah, they're more.
I'm not a fanboy.
They've become now more of a fashion statement.
Recently, they have. Popularity has
superpower.
fucked them up, like Batman and Peace.
Yeah. But anyway, what I was going to say, this particular instance is one of those things where a business says, okay, look, we've got a big business here. Other people are doing something that we use. Let's do it for ourselves. And in this instance was Maps. Now, Google Maps is obviously the market leader in map software. They've just also released that underwater map.
Underwater Street View.
You could go and see the coral
Soon you
reef.
can go all over the planet.
It's amazing. It's incredible. And I think, you know...
Coming soon, Google Space.
Yeah, probably.
That probably already exists.
Yeah.
At some point, yeah.
So they were released in 2004 and they've spent a good amount of time, you know, was it 8 years now, developing those maps. They started from the bottom with the simple, you know, where are things and street overlays and they've got more than developed. Now Apple sound like they've just said let's do this and then churned it out and it's gone to shit. Now a good reference point for this, if you guys want to see what we mean without sounding biased, the amazing io6maps.tumblr.com has all of these fuck-ups and they are glorious. Train stations that have disappeared, there's
big train stations even.
piers that don't exist, whole national parks taking over cities.
It's like a grid map of the Twilight Zone.
It is, it's crazy. And you know, for some, on their website, this is the thing that claims you. I'm going to take this from their website. Let me just get it up for you guys. It was, I just find it amazing, just how they go on so much about it being perfect and the language they use is like the best thing ever and blah blah blah. And then the maps read something like always gets it right. And
now that's pretty hilarious.
even after their chief executive coming out, Tim Cook, and saying sorry, it doesn't work, you'd think they'd take that from their site down, wouldn't you? Because there are people that I swear that the Apple site is their homepage or something, they just look at it all the time, oh look, new Apple product. He apologised for the software pissing up, and he says in the meantime, why didn't you use one of the rival products, so like Google Maps or Nokia Maps?
At least when there were all those problems with the iPhone. What was it, the one that had the problems when you held it a certain way?
iPhone 4.
That was kind of bullshit.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was going to say I was on the side.
What do you mean bullshit?
Hang on a minute.
It's the same with all phones.
I was going to say I was on the side of Apple then because
it was just...
at least Steve Jobs had the balls to come out and say you're fucking holding it wrong, you dumbasses.
Well, it's a massive design flaw though, because antennas on phones are usually at the top. If you're holding it like that and the antenna's there, of course it's not going to work.
Yeah,
that is a massive design flaw.
A problem
but because Steve Jobs
it up to be.
They even said that they came out and did another apology about that apology, and they even said that the bars that were displayed on the phone were wrong because the system they used to measure it was wrong. Yeah. So it might not have seemed as bad as it was, but it was still quite bad. And you know, Apple have always been heralded as someone that are like an organisation that are really focused on design and sort of, you know, usefulness. But if the antenna's there, it's still a dumb move. I mean, call it what you want. He may have came out and said you're stupid for holding it wrong, but we're not exactly doing it upside down, are we? You know.
Apple killed Josh's dog and burned down his village when he was a child.
It seems like it.
He has a massive grudge against him.
I think everybody's just on their side for no reason. I think
what happened.
Fanboys.
I think what happened is that Apple has had such good formulas in the past. I mean, it is no exaggeration to divide the Western world into before and after the existence
say
of the
what
iPod.
you want, but they did revolutionise the phone market and the MP3 market,
But-
and almost the PC market even.
But my criticism of that is that since then they've been going with what works rather than trying to develop new material.
Yeah.
They've just been updating their current products.
Well,
which
even
is not what-
IGN was saying that about the new iPhone 5. The fact that it's just safe on their part. It's just safe.
Playing it part of safe.
In fact, it even says Apple has made enormous strides by making safe and smart upgrades to consistently stellar phones. It's no surprise the iPhone 5 is just that, safe and stellar. They've given it a really good rating, but there are a number of problems with it. Yeah, it seems that way, but there is a lot of problems that I've seen with it. The operating system is the thing that, like I said, my focus is on. It's not the design; it's the operating system. They've gone about how it's the best thing ever. They even say that. I'm not lying, they say that. It's silly things that you think that they would cover, but because their phone is now longer, all the back buttons for the operating system are at the top, so you're consistently having to, you know, it's like game of, you know, what's that? Thumb war with the phone.
Thumb wars,
Android phones, the back buttons are at the bottom, so regardless of how, if the phone is like the size of a lightsaber, you can still, you know. What I'm saying is that these things they should think about, but they don't bother. So there's a lot of like new apps that have come out that haven't dealt with the extra screen size. So even if they do try and bring out a new innovation, they don't.
Loads of Android phones too, to be fair.
Well, yeah, there has been that, but at least they won't push a new operating system onto a phone until it's been consistently tested. I mean, I'm still on bloody gingerbread on my phone. They've got Jelly Bean out now. They've not pushed it because if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. With the new iPhone 5, you have to use those iPhone functionalities. You can't go back to it. With iPhone 4, you could just revert back to it. You can't do that now. Yeah. So, as much as they're great at what they do, and they have a niche market, it doesn't seem like a niche market, but it's just, they know what they're doing.
And they know why they're doing it.
They know why they're doing it, but they still are getting the fine-tuning wrong.
Yeah. And that seems like a good point to finish up.
Yep.
So, hope you... There's the cat coming down our garden now, I've just seen her walking down. So, hope you enjoyed the new format podcast, guys. It's going to be more of this on a weekly basis as usual. We've got a distinct time limit to them now, so it's more focused and more direction. If you're watching this on YouTube, link to our website is down there, www.rudolphisrevenge.com. Check it out. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this, throw us a like or a subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Cheers, guys.